Welcome to the Writing Center at PVCC. Today, we're talking about how to recognize three of the most common major sentence errors: fragments, run-ons, and comma splices. These errors often occur when we join dependent and independent clauses incorrectly, or when we should join ideas but don't. So before we talk about these errors, let's talk about how to recognize whether ideas or clauses are independent or dependent. Independent clauses can stand on their own. They are complete sentences and do not require anything else to communicate an idea. For example, the first sentence, "Ron did not do well on the test," is a complete sentence and an independent clause. It makes perfect sense without adding any more information. Independent clauses always include a subject, something that completes the action, and a verb, the action itself. This means that a sentence may be as short as 2 words, like the example, "He cried." Sometimes independent clauses must also include a direct object or something the action is done to. Jenny enjoys writing includes a direct object, writing. Without this information, the sentence would be incomplete, as readers would wonder what Jenny enjoys. On the other hand, dependent clauses are clauses that cannot stand on their own. They are not complete unless we add to them. When left to stand on their own, dependent clauses are sentence fragments, the first of the 3 most common sentence errors. Sometimes dependent clauses are missing their subjects or verbs, as in "and didn't do well on the test," or "the woman who enjoyed writing." The first is missing a subject. It doesn't tell us who didn't do well on the test. The second is missing a verb. We know an action was completed by the woman, but the phrase "who enjoyed writing" describes which woman rather than telling us what she did. However, sometimes a clause can have both a subject and a verb and still be dependent. This is because of words like although or because, which make the clause dependent. For example, the sentence "because he didn't study" doesn't tell us what happened because he didn't study. Clauses like these cannot stand on their own, no matter how long they are. Sometimes fragments are quite long, but if they are missing a subject or verb, or if they have a dependent marker like if or unless, they cannot stand on their own. Another common error is joining 2 independent clauses incorrectly. We often call this a run-on. Run-ons can take several different forms. One kind of run-on is when 2 or more independent clauses are joined without any connecting words or punctuation. The 2 sentences are simply connected by omitting the period between them, as in the sentence, "Jenny enjoys writing, she doesn't have time." Another kind of run-on is when the independent clauses are joined without a comma and with a coordinating conjunction, as in the sentence, "Ron did not do well on the test, but he didn't even try." This sentence is incorrect because it does not have a comma before the coordinating conjunction. Coordinating conjunctions, for and nor, but, or, yet, and so, are often referred to as the fanboys. If a coordinating conjunction or a fanboy is used to connect 2 independent clauses, a comma is required before the conjunction. The third of our major errors is a comma splice. Splicing is when we join 2 or more things by weaving the ends together. The bond between the items is tentative. Similarly, a comma splice is when we join 2 independent clauses using a comma. The problem is that a comma is not enough to join 2 independent clauses. It does not create a firm bond. The example, "Ron did not do well on the test, he didn't even try," is a comma splice because 2 independent clauses are spliced together using only a comma, thus creating a tentative bond. One way to fix this kind of error and create a firmer bond is to add a coordinating conjunction, one of the fanboys, after the comma to combine the sentences. We'll talk more about this and other ways to fix a comma splice in another video. Here are some tips for recognizing these major errors. First, read your sentences aloud. As you read, pay attention to the punctuation. When you see a comma, give a quick pause before you continue the sentence. When you see a period, stop before you read the next sentence. This way, you're reading from the capital letter at the beginning of the sentence to the period at the end. Read all the way to the period before stopping. Reading this way can help you recognize when your sentences are complete ideas and can stand on their own. It can also help us recognize run-ons formed by connecting independent clauses incorrectly and identify sentence fragments formed from dependent clauses that cannot stand on their own. To learn how to correct these errors and join ideas correctly, see our video about correcting comma splices, run-ons, and fragments. If you'd like to get help identifying and correcting these common errors, make an appointment to see a tutor today.